the 4th of January 1921, the Celtic team played a benefit game to celebrate one of their teammates. By modern standards, there were some surprising elements to this. For one thing, it wasn't his first benefit match. Secondly, it was played against Rangers. And furthermore, the man being honoured had so far spent a remarkable 17 years at the club. And by the time he retired, he had been wearing hoops for 21 years and is Celtic's longest continuous serving player. This is the story of Alec McNair, Celtic's Icicle. The record-breaking defender was born in Stenhousemuir on Christmas Eve in 1882. After leaving school, McNair worked in Larbert Foundry, but he had big footballing dreams. In his early years, he was known to be a big supporter of Rangers. As well as admiring the Ibrox side, he soon built for himself a reputation as a hardy and capable player. This brought him to the attention of his local team, Stenhousemuir. In 1900, McNair followed in the footsteps of his older brother James by signing for the Warriors. In this era, Stenhousemuir had some notable successes, including twice winning the Scottish Qualifying Cup and reaching the semi-final of the Senior Scottish Cup, where they lost to Rangers. Although Alec McNair did not play in this semi-final, the club's growing profile ensured that prominent young players such as him came to the attention of bigger clubs, including Celtic. In May 1903, he was given a Celtic trial, but did not yet end up at Parkhead. It wouldn't take long, though, for this to change. Perhaps McNair was best suited to wearing hoops rather than vertical stripes. In August 1903, the boys made the switch to their now famous green and white hooped tops, and the following April, Alec McNair signed on as a Celt. By May 1904, McNair was wearing this shirt in different friendly games, including in Aberdeen and Inverness, and also participating in a European tour. But in a competitive sense, he made his debut for the boys later that year. This was a significant season for the Celts, and a notable part of Scottish football history too. In September 1904, the Hoops welcomed Queen's Park to Celtic Park for a Glasgow Cup tie. The home men comfortably disposed of the Spiders with a 3-0 win. Unusually, McNair featured on the left wing, which wasn't the position for which he would become known. This win set the Celts on a path to claim the Glasgow Cup, beating Rangers 2-1 the following month to win the trophy for the first time since 1896. It was something for an omen for the season that Celtic were looking to break losing runs. The Celts had last been Scottish League champions in 1898, meaning they were yet to taste 20th century title success. By the end of the league campaign, Celtic and Rangers sat tied on 26 points, unable to be separated. Unlike now, goal difference or head-to-head records were not used. Instead, a playoff match was held to decide the outcome of that season's championship. McNair was part of the Celtic team that went to Hampden in May 1905 for this special fixture. So tense was the game that an English referee, Fred Kirkham, was drafted in to ensure no bias. And it was the Celts that would celebrate after a remarkable 6 minutes in the second half. The boys scored twice within a minute before Rangers quickly halved the deficit, but no equaliser would come. Celtic had won their first title since 1898, and this was the only time that the Scottish League has been decided by a playoff game. One previous attempt in the league's first season saw Rangers and Dumbarton draw in the playoff match, and as a result, the competition for that season was shared between them. Back in 1905, and it certainly wasn't the last time that McNair and the boys would enjoy league success. In fact, the Celts went on a 6-in-a-row league-winning run, claiming all titles up to 1910. This was then a world record, and it would be 1972 before this was beaten in Scotland, as part of Celtic's first famous 9-in-a-row run. During this record-making run, there were numerous notable Celtic moments in which Alec McNair featured. In April 1907 came another piece of Scottish football history. The boys won the Scottish Cup by beating Hearts, then 4 days later, an away victory at Partick Thistle gave Celtic the title. This was the first time that any team had won the league and Scottish Cup double. In 1909 came a much more notorious event. The Celts met Rangers in that season's Scottish Cup final. After a 2-2 draw, a replayed game also ended in a draw. Fans assumed that there would be extra time, but instead another replay was ordered. This led to a riot that caused huge damage at Hampden and saw that season's cup being withdrawn and won by no one. In this otherwise successful and celebrated era for Celtic, McNair was an essential part of the team. He was known for his fitness and stamina and as a strong figure at the heart of Celtic's defence. So calm and assured was he that he was given the nickname that best exemplified this, the Icicle. Although McNair was best known for wearing Celtic's green and white, he also starred in dark blue. On 15 occasions he was chosen to represent Scotland, although he never managed to score. Scotland had a mixed record at this time. McNair won 7 times, lost 4 and drew 4 as well. Arguably the Icicle's best moment in a Scotland shirt came when he helped his country win the 1909-10 British Home Championship. This was a notable part of the football calendar in those days, and this was before international tournaments such as the World Cup or European Championships were held. Since 1904, the boys had regularly taken part in European summer tours, and Alec had enjoyed such visits in 1904, 1907 and 1912. However, he had not travelled in 1911 owing to the tragic death of his newborn daughter Helen just days before the boys were due to depart. By 1913, McNair was in his 30s. It may have been expected he'd be giving some thoughts to retiring. As such, the Celts started the 1913-14 season with a benefit game for him. Rangers lost 2-0 at Celtic Park, and Alec took home a large cheque. Although Celtic's choice of opponent might seem surprising now, in fact, such games were not unusual in that era. By the end of that season, the boys were the champions for the first time since 1910. They were also again on the move, visiting Germany, Austria and Hungary. Once more, Alec was not part of the group, although the reason for his absence is unclear. There have variously been suggestions about a possible injury or needing to take care of his wife. Either way, he didn't join his teammates, who witnessed evidence of growing military preparations across the continent. Within months of returning from this trip, Europe and the world would be plunged into a bloody war that lasted more than 4 years. Many Celtic fans and some players and former players would fight and even die in the conflict. At home, McNair and his teammates were still footballers, although in changed conditions. Scottish football saw many differences, including restrictions on when games could be played, and the Scottish Cup not being held again until peacetime. Players' lives were altered too. As well as a maximum wage of £1 per week, they were expected to contribute to the war effort. Some Scottish players enlisted in the armed forces, whilst others worked in reserve jobs deemed an essential part of Britain's military actions. In McNair's case, and given his previous training and expertise, he went to work in a munitions factory. By 1915, Alec still lived in Stenhousemuir, doing so with his wife Mary and their children. Alec and Mary had enjoyed a mainly happy life together, albeit one that also included tragedy, such as the death of their daughter in 1911. However, Mary often had health issues. In August 1915, Alec faced the biggest challenge of his life. His wife died of a heart attack when aged only 28. Aside from having to deal with this loss, McNair now had to take sole responsibility for raising his children, alongside his ward duties too. It was a challenge he met, but not easily. In a footballing sense, the 1914-18 era was a successful one for Alec and the boys. They claimed the 1915, 1916 and 1917 titles. As champions, they also helped raise funds for war causes, such as each year when the league winners would play a league select at Hampden in a special charity match. November 1918 saw an end to more than 4 bloody years of fighting. By the following year, Celtic were once more the champions, and Alec was able to celebrate a league title in his 15th year at Celtic Park. Despite this impressive feat, he was far from finished and still had many more years in green and white. In 1920 came an on-field event which possibly laid a path for Alec McNair's future career plans. The Celts hosted Dundee in April, and the match ended in chaos owing to a pitch invasion by some Celtic supporters. They even tried to attack some of the visiting players, but it was McNair who stepped in to protect his footballing opponents. In the modern era, few players stay long enough at one club to be given a testimonial match. In McNair's case, he stayed so long at Parkhead that he got 2 of them. In 1921, 17 years into his time at Celtic Park, a second benefit game was held in his honour. If playing Rangers in 1913 might have seemed unusual to modern eyes, this second benefit was even more surprising. In January 1921, a joint Celtic and Rangers 11, wearing green and white hoops, took to the field, playing against the Scottish League Select. 30,000 fans came along to honour Celtic's Icicle and cheer on the Old Firm. Owing to injury, McNair played only a short time and his team lost 3-1. It's said that time eventually ends all things. In this case, regardless of how long McNair had been at Celtic Park, it couldn't continue forever. In March 1923, the boys defeated Hibs 1-0 in the Scottish Cup final. Although no one knew at the time, this would be Alec's final national trophy whilst playing for the Celts. His last success in green and white came the following year, in May 1924. The boys faced their old foes, and sometimes friends, Rangers, in the Glasgow Charity Cup final. Although the Ibrox men were favourites, it was the Celts who claimed a 2-1 victory. As happy as this made McNair, the game also showed age's impact upon him. One match report said that he had improved as the game went on, but in the first half looked more than a bit shaky. He considered retiring, but chose to spend one more year as a Celt, playing for the last time in April 1925. Having signed 21 years before in April 1904, this is a phenomenal achievement. McNair's playing retiral did not mark the end of his time in football. Instead, now came the next phase, with management the order of the day. In 1920, he had acted to protect Dundee players from being attacked by Celtic fans. Perhaps as a consequence of this, he now became the manager at Dens Park. He spent just over 2 years in charge on Tayside. It was a period of limited and little success for McNair and the Dark Blues. They finished third bottom of the league in 1926, although the following season rose up to 5th place. They had little luck in the Scottish Cup and kept only memories of defeat to Celtic in the 1925 final. Early in the 1927-28 season, McNair decided football management was not for him and resigned in October of that year. The next stage of his life was relatively private, but it kept some football links. In the days before football players earned enough to never work again, he made his living as a stockbroker, being based in Falkirk. His footballing connection was as a referee supervisor. McNair spent 2 years travelling around Scotland, watching matches, and then speaking afterwards to match officials about their performances. Following this, he departed from public scrutiny. By 1951, he had been ill for some time. His family played their role in looking after him, but his life came to an end on the 18th of November that year. He was aged 68, and his funeral, held in Larbert, was a huge event as numerous people turned out to celebrate this famous Celt. There's often a tendency to simplify a football club's history. Fans may fixate on either recent players, or, if historic ones are known, it tends to be a small number. Those such as Jimmy McGrory or Patsy Gallagher, whose goal contributions to the Celts were so significant, perhaps have an advantage in this regard. However, the impact of Alec McNair is one that also deserves significant celebration. His 21 years on the hoops will surely never be emulated, far less beaten. To get one benefit match nowadays is amazing enough, so for McNair to get 2, both of which featured Rangers, gives an idea about how important a player he was for Celtic. A record-breaking Celt, celebrated as the Icicle in his defensive playing days, Alec McNair is a true Celtic legend. If you want to learn more about Celtic history, follow Hail Hail History on Twitter X and Blue Sky. You can also take part in free Celtic walking tours. Visit celticwalkingtours.wordpress.com for more information.